I'm a local boy, born and raised in North Vancouver. I went to Simon Fraser University and then medical school at the University of Calgary. And after medical school, I spent all of my career in British Columbia, interning in Victoria and then being an emergency physician in Victoria. I moved to North Vancouver, doing at least 2 more years of emergency medicine before becoming a full-service family practitioner. I've had a parallel career in medical leadership and administration. I've been the chairman of the education program at the Royal Jubilee, running the intern program. And while at Lionsgate, I was head of general practice. I was then a member of the first North Shore Regional Health Board. And following that, I became chief of staff at Lionsgate Hospital and then senior medical director of Coastal when we became Vancouver Coastal Health, with responsibilities in 6 major facilities from Lionsgate Hospital all the way up to Bella Bella and Bella Coola. I've been quite involved in physician education throughout my career, and most recently I've been chairman of the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority Medical Advisory Committee, and our committee's role is major advisory in physician activities to both the board and the board chair and the senior team and the CEO of the health authority. Well, about 2 years ago, I was approached by Boris with the concept that he was starting this new pharmaceutical company called Medipure. And when he told me the basic concept of the company, I was quite intrigued. And what I've had a great respect for Boris. I've known him for years, being his and his family's physician, seeing how knowledgeable he is in medical matters and also how much of an advocate he was for his wife and himself in healthcare matters. So he brought a lot of credibility to our first meeting. And what he described to me was a company that is looking at medical marijuana in a much more scientific manner, in which they were trying to purify the marijuana product into a pharmaceutical derivative that would be of benefit to patients. So that sounded quite appealing, but also appropriate for the time. As a physician, we were suddenly faced with this legalization of medical marijuana, and it put us in quite a dilemma. And for me to be an advocate for my patients, but also an appropriate prescribing physician, it would be nice to know exactly what I was prescribing. So maybe I'll just tell you a little story of a patient experience. And I had many of these experiences. So I'm a family physician. I'm responsible for a large number of patients. And I'm trying to be a real advocate for my patients. And each of them have individual needs. So here's a man who comes in suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. He's on multiple medications. We've got him in cognitive therapy and counseling, and he comes in still very distressed, very anxious, very depressed, and he has with him a form for me to fill out for the Compassion Society to prescribe medical marijuana. So I feel like I'm in a dilemma because I really want to help him. He needs the help. I'm understanding that marijuana has beneficial properties in many areas, but I don't know anything about the product that I am actually putting my name behind or prescribing. So on one hand, I want to say, I can't do this. I don't know this product. On the other hand, I want to say, I know this is probably a safe product and you do need some help, so let's give it a try. So reluctantly, I prescribed this medical marijuana. And I'm thinking, I'm probably one of many, many, many physicians in our province or in our country that's been asked to do this every day. So when Boris approached me, I thought, what an ideal timing, and what a opportunity to put some of my clinical skills, knowledge, and my administrative skills into a company that I think is going in a very positive direction at a very good time. So my title is Medical Director, and I see that as a role in which I bring a clinical perspective to the excellent research team that Boris has put together. And with a clinical perspective, I will be able to bridge the research and research results with the clinical trial, with the appropriate end product that we're able to bring to the market. I will be on a very steep learning curve about the research component, and I think our researchers will be on a learning curve about the clinical implications of what they are doing. And I think I can help bridge that for both the clinicians that we will be approaching and the researchers who we will be following. So I'm very excited, and I think the primary strength is to produce some science behind the anecdotal evidence that marijuana or medical marijuana is beneficial. And the environment of that is one in which there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of naysayers, and there's a lot of proponents who don't really know what they're a proponent for. We have a significant patient population, particularly in North America, that are suffering anxiety, that are suffering depression, that are suffering from chronic pain, and they're turning to products, either legally or illegally, for those very conditions. And all I can speak for is the clinical prescribing. We've got a lot of products that we as physicians prescribe for our patients that are concerning to us. And if we can develop a perhaps alternative or adjunct to those therapies that allow us to prescribe less of the medications we're concerned about, and an add-on or alternative product that's based on a natural product that may has fewer side effects and be more effective, it will be a real big step forward. In addition, we're taking the how would I put this, hypothetical benefits of a product, medical marijuana, that's in a very confused environment right now, and putting some true research and science behind a purified product that we can have confidence in. So I've up to now mentioned medical marijuana, medical marijuana, medical marijuana, and that is how the average physician is viewing these products. I've come to realize, and as we look into it, that the cannabis section, the portion of medical marijuana, and the cannabinoids specifically are the beneficial molecules. And I think one of the really exciting things that Boris and his team are trying to do is break cannabis down into the cannabinoids. And there may be a cannabinoid that is very effective for anxiety, which may be different structural formula than a cannabinoid that is beneficial for pain or beneficial for skin conditions. So I think there's a real opportunity to put some science into what we already know as a medical alternative. So talking about the current opioid crisis is a very interesting question. So I'll put it in a little bit of a perspective. Right now we are seeing more opioid overdose deaths per day, per month, per year than we have ever seen in my career, I think, in the history of our country. And the major factor in those opioid overdose deaths are synthetic opioids, particularly fentanyl and carfentanil, that are coming in from other countries. And they're coming in mostly to the street market opioids. Individuals on the street are taking opioids for a multitude of reasons. And if you look At the Vancouver market, it's mostly recreational use. If you look at some of the North American market, particularly in the States, it's use that was originated or derived from physician prescribing. And the result of prescribing or recreational use opioids are often a dependence, and then a dependence to find alternatives stronger, cheaper, or more easily accessible. And then hence we get the street use, and now we're getting the contaminated street drugs that are so powerful, individuals can take a tablet that they think is a very safe street heroin, and within 20 minutes they're dead. It's very frightening. Never seen anything like it. When I spoke earlier, I spoke about marijuana, cannabis, cannabinoids may have a beneficial effect on pain. If they have a beneficial effect on pain and pain relief, they could be used in conjunction with opioids to diminish the need for stronger opioids, or they may be an alternative to opioids, and there would be much less tendency for the very strong addictive potential that we see with our opioids. I think that's a tremendous potential benefit of the work that Medipure is doing. And I think in our current environment, when I talked about the physicians reluctant to prescribe medical marijuana or cannabis, there is becoming a reluctance to prescribe opioids. Not that we as physicians don't feel some patients need that medication, but the restrictions that are being put on by our college and by others because of the worry of high dose dependency is making more and more physicians reluctant to prescribe opioids. So if we can give them a safe alternative, they will be more comfortable supporting and advocating and prescribing for their chronic pain patients, which are a terribly difficult group of patients to manage appropriately. And these are individuals who are truly in pain and truly needing help. Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of my roles as a medical director is to ensure safety and quality. Safety and quality in bringing a product to market through research, making sure that the research is appropriate and it shows the safety and quality of the pharmaceutical that the research is based on. So when a product comes to market, I think we need to ensure that that product has good quality, is pure to as much purity as we can make it, is safe to prescribe. We're aware of the side effects and the concerns with drug-to-drug interaction. And so all of those are put together and make it very important to bring a product that we know is safe and of good quality. And that's a very complex question, and that would be probably the main factor. I think the secondary factor is the patient, the physician being comfortable prescribing it, and the patient being comfortable asking for and then taking it. Side effect profiles and longitudinal use is important, and also the affordability. A lot of individual patients now are turning to, and I'll go back to the word medical marijuana rather than cannabis, as their medication of choice for their condition, but that becomes a very expensive form of therapy for patients because it is a non-approved or a non-pure product. It's not going to be a product, even though physicians write a note for it, it's not a formal prescription, so it's not covered by extended benefits or by your medical services plan or Medicare. Well, I think the Canadian population and I think the Canadian government are much more willing to consider medical marijuana, cannabis, cannabinoids as a possible product that helps individuals' health. Some of the other countries haven't reached that far. And I think by being in Canada and having those kinds of opportunities, there's a real advantage versus some of the other countries. And I think the insight and the dedication of the Medipure team, particularly under Boris's leadership, makes it even more advantageous.